Geneva Motor Show never complete without a visit to the Tata Motors stand, because there's always a nice surprise, especially of late, and this man's usually behind that surprise of late as well. And behind us right now is the big surprise. So yeah, nice little play of words, but hi.
Hi, thanks Sid, always good to be with you.
It's great to have you and have that. There's been, what I said, at Geneva especially, almost like a tradition now to be surprised by Tata Motors. We knew this was coming, the H2X. We didn't know what it was going to look like. Now we see that. First things first, why the H2X? Not the name, but why this vehicle and why Geneva?
So look, Sid, this is the 21st year for us, unbroken year of participation in Geneva. And we've got a long sort of tradition of bringing something exciting to Geneva. But in the last 3 or 4 years, if you've tracked us, whatever we show, we now want the customer to buy. There was earlier a feedback that we show a lot of concepts, but nothing hits the market. But now you'll see in the last 3 or 4 years, with the Hexa concept, with all the other cars we've shown, H5X, 45X, we've brought those cars here. And so that's why Geneva. It gives us also undivided attention of the Indian media. We are tracked very, you guys are all tracked, and it gives us a lot of exposure. Why this car? I've said this before. I think in our range, we want a SUV at every size and every price. Because it's purely that sort of aspirational product. We see that globally. I think in this 3.8, 3.9 meter, length, which the ALFA architecture allows us to do, it's a phenomenal little product. It's small, but it's not weak. It makes a statement, as you can see. And then I hope your viewers like it.
I'm sure. I mean, there's already, I think my phone's blowing up, but quick word on potential powertrain. I don't want production version options from you. I get it's too premature for that. But while designing it, what was at the back of your mind here with this?
Architecture is from day one protected for hybridizing. ALFA in general, is protected for EV drivetrain anyway. My own view is that this segment is already gravitating towards gasoline. That's where I think the segment will go. So gasoline will be obviously the lead powertrain, but I think electrification will come quick, and it's a good candidate for that as well.
Given its size and given its wheelbase, do you mean hybrid electrification or full electrification?
No, it can go all the way.
So
it can go all the way. All the way to BEV.
I know the car's spinning at its languid little pace here, but my unfair question to you right at the top today instead of at the end, your favorite external design feature?
My God. I think it's got to be the tri-arrow tail light.
Tail lights, yeah, actually. So today we agree.
Today we agree.
My favorite as well.
I think it's really striking. It's very subtle, but very beautiful. Jewel light. Not in this form, no. I can say this honestly.
No, that's why I caught you on that.
I can say this
otherwise,
honestly.
in general, the question everybody had for you from H5X, from 45X, and now from this. Pretty much what we see is what we're going to get.
See, this car is actually 80% now. Again, I go back to that 80%. It is the production car. So of course, the team has taken a few liberties, wheel size, pulling some wheels out, but the cabin, the hood, the size is not more or less
and the proportions
is the one.
Well.
It's this. So like in production, some things we can't bring to production. But the essence of this car is the one. Like I think ALTROZ shows it very well. How we brought the 45X into production. So
while we're on that topic, one very quick thing before we go inside. This whole aspect, what we're seeing from several brands, very slim, light details, bigger grills, very almost dramatic face as a result. Of course, on your SUVs, it's more pronounced. We kind of see that on the ALTROZ as well. Very slim headlamps.
Slim lamps.
With that larger element in the bumper.
Correct.
Is that part of the new design language now? Pretty much for the family?
It is very much. Impact 2.0, like I said, we showed both the cars like that in 45X and H5X.
It's almost enhanced in the production version though.
It is actually.
You know what I mean.
It is actually stronger in the production version. I think drama is. Indians, we are emotional. A little bit of drama is necessary, and I think it's a good thing. Why do boring? But at the same time, like I've said to you many times before, we shouldn't shout. For us, it's very important still to have some understatement, but not become a boring brand.
All right, fair enough. Should we go inside?
Yeah, of course.
On the inside of the H2X now, and we continue our discussion. It is, of course, definitely more concept or show car like on the inside.
Yeah.
That's to be expected. But two quick things that I want to get from you. There's a use of screens, both for the climate control and, of course, this nice wide. Well, there are two screens, I guess.
Yeah.
Both look like 7.5, 8-inch screens.
These are 10.2.
10.2.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what part of that do you see translating, if not to this car's production, then to Tata Motors production?
So very much, as you know, this is actually for digital natives. So who are completely used to touch screens, unlike some of us, where we still needed physical, sort of feedback. They're comfortable not having any buttons, any switches, and 10.2 is, I think, where we will definitely gravitate towards. We started at 6.5, and the industry will move very quickly. See,
It started to happen already. Yeah.
it started to happen. The good thing is that by not associating the screens with anything in the main instrument panel molding, depending on how the industry moves, we can very quickly bring that in.
Yeah.
So you don't have to retool the entire IP. And this is a very conscious decision to have the screen freed up from the main molding.
Which you've done on your other cars as well.
Which we've done.
So can we expect a similar spec package? I mean, I know it won't be identical, but to what we are seeing in cars like the Harrier.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We want to lead with infotainment. In India, I think that's a position we've taken very, very consciously. Our sound quality and all of that, but even the UI, the user interaction with the car, the way the graphics are laid out, we put a lot of emphasis on that to keep it friendly, keep it understandable. So you will see elements of this coming into production. They're already in some of our cars, you're right. In fact, the ALTROZ probably shows that the best.
The latest iteration.
The latest iteration.
How important was it when you started doing this project to make sure that you get the interior dimensions and proportions right? Because it's tougher in a sense, because it's not so much about the numbers but the sense of space.
The sense,
which we are getting a good
Yeah,
amount of.
yeah.
So headroom, keeping things a little more upright, to be more SUV-like.
Absolutely.
I'm guessing were both important.
Absolutely right. The windscreen is more upright, the side glasses are more upright than a comparable hatch. If you look the way we've treated the IP, it's a single element which goes right across the car to give you this feeling of width. So you're right, and the door cards are also pushed out. So everywhere you look in the car, the shoulder room, the leg room, hip room, these are fundamental to Tata Motors DNA. And we don't, or I personally don't like to sacrifice that.
Yeah.
That's very, very important to us.
But in terms of styling, the fact that this is more obviously SUV-like, like the Nexon, for example,
Yes.
is it, right? It's
Yes.
got a lot more curves,
Yeah.
sloping
More
roof.
coupe, yeah.
So the conscious decision not to be like that,
Yeah.
to be like the younger brother of the Nexon.
You're absolutely right. Look, Nexon, we were one of the last entrants into that segment. The segment, don't forget, was already created.
Yeah.
In this one, we actually will create a segment, in my view. And so we wanted to come with something really strong, chunky in that segment. And personally, my view, I don't sort of see cars as a smaller or bigger version of something in our range.
Each one
I don't
has to have its own.
Yeah, I don't like that scaling of the design elements in different sizes. Each one has a different customer set, and therefore the expectations are different, and you design accordingly.
Yeah. What was the difference? I know this happened, of course, earlier than what we've seen, going from the H5X to the H7X, or now the BUZZARD Sport to the BUZZARD, as it's shown here.
Yes, as it's shown here.
So, you always knew you had to do the longer version, but what part of it specifically was a challenge, and what part excited you to do the longer version?
So the longer version, like you just said, we didn't want it to become a Harrier, let me say, a Harrier plus 2. we wanted the car to have its own personality. So if you look at the rear view of the car,
Completely different.
there's actually not a single element which is the same as the Harrier or the Buzzard Sport as we brought it here. Because again, customer is different, larger families, they want a personality of their own, and we did that in the back. There's a stepped roof, Sid.
Yeah.
This, in fact, we got people are against stepped roofs. So we very neatly disguised that in the roof rail, so you don't read it at all. So those were some of those little different elements bringing in. If you look at the rear door, in the Harrier, we wanted a nice tighter, lower coupe-like roof line. So, but we've used the same door without sacrificing.
It is the same door.
Without
I was about to
sacrificing.
ask you, is this a longer door?
No, it's the same door.
Okay.
So you don't sacrifice ingress, egress. So that balance is important.
And lastly, now back to the ALTROZ, because that's of course your other big news here. Very much like the concept as you were saying
Yep.
outside as well.
Yep.
But again, from the point of view of the way the consumer thinks today, the kind of expectations that they have, do you think the interior was the bigger challenge, since you'd already shown the design anyway as far as exterior?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The interior is where people spend most of their time with the car. So I always say, impact design is about immediate impact from the exterior, but lasting impact from the interior. Because there are those small irritants in a car that drive you away from the car or alienate. Just the fact that you can't keep a phone somewhere, or the cup you like, the grande doesn't fit. So we've taken care of those elements so that they don't become irritants. The 1 liter bottle is a standard now, so you can't have a half liter holder. So.
But in that segment, do you still see a lot of room for customization, contrast roofs, things like that?
One cool thing in the car, which many people, if you can point out, is what I call the comet tail. The comet tail on the window. Again, it's a world first. In the next one, we did the swoosh.
Yeah.
Here we've done the comet tail. The comet tail gives you infinite possibility of course, the roof and all of that you can do, but the comet tail is really the one which will give you that
Will free
option.
you up.
Yeah.
So we can expect some.
Oh
stuff
yeah.
to happen on
Oh
that.
yeah. Absolutely. Different
and-
colors, textures, finishes. So that comet tail becomes your signature.
And coming back to this car now to sort of round this off.
Yeah.
Same question. Customization on this car. Do you think it's necessary to also play with a lot of that on the inside?
Oh my God, very very true. Again, we've shown some elements.
I love
of that.
these, as you know.
The Coanda vents, we call them Coanda vents. It's a terminology for this technology.
That's very nice.
But bringing in color, in few subtle places, color and material actually is very important. If you see what the customer looks for even in their mobile phone case, there's customization in everything that people use. You've got a little lapel pin of the World Car Award. Everyone wants to make some little signature
something,
of their own, and we give some opportunities.
All right, so we can expect that on this as well.
Yes. Yes.
How exciting the whole process now of bringing this car to market. We now know when it is coming.
Yeah.
So that becomes your next exciting thing. I
Yeah,
guess,
Sid,
in terms
you know how that journey is. It's a 4-year journey from sheet of paper to sheet metal, and I can't tell you, we've done it quite a few times now. It's every bit as exciting every time you do it, and there's a real thrill to bring something. I don't know what the reaction to the car is currently, because I've been with you and others. But if people like it, then the thrill for us as a design and engineering team is to really bring it to the customer in that form that they
as
like.
close to that as possible.
Yeah.
So last question then, and this is something we briefly spoke about yesterday, but not in that context, but purely in a design context. As you get to talking about next generations of cars like the TIGOR, TIAGO, and the Nexon, what elements from Impact 2.0 can we expect there? And what parts do you think need to be different, need to be their own, or maybe even an homage to the existing cars?
No, I think, I've said this, in my view, the silhouette is something which probably would change the most, purely because, the new platforms are designed for new regulations. The cars will grow in every dimension, or in most dimensions, not length, we hope at least.
Well, but the TIGOR will have to stay sub 4 meters.
Yeah, it will. So, but some other dimensions will grow, which will change the silhouette of the car. What I like to capture is the spirit of the car. I'm very, very much of the school of thought that when you do an homage to anything, it's better to capture the spirit rather than a superficial
element,
expression of it. The TIAGO itself has got very little to do with cars that came before, but I somewhere carried the spirit of the Indy car, which was a real trendsetter when it came out in 97, 98. That's a spirit you want to bring in, rather than pastiche of elements.
And that we presuppose is the ALFA architecture then?
Yeah, we've said this. We have 6 architectures today, or 6 platforms
which
really,
will move to just the 2.
which we want to move to the 2.
So is that internally now your next challenge, those cars? Bringing those to life at least internally in your heads?
Yeah, I mean, of
There's
course,
still some time
those
away,
cars
I
are
know,
fresh, the
yeah.
ones you're talking about. So we are already, sort of thinking about this car first, and then what other opportunities are presenting themselves in the market. I mentioned this to you earlier. The new small car will be a bigger car than the current small car. This is inevitable fact. And in good in many ways, because it aims for higher safety standards, all of that.
But having said that, you still find that there will be room for you below the ALTROZ.
Oh yeah,
to play around.
Oh yeah,
with
definitely,
entry
definitely.
hatch.
Entry hatch, yeah. This will be a very big play, but for those
where
who
the TIAGO comes in.
yeah, for those who want a hatch, there will be a play, of course, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. As
Thank
always,
you.
a pleasure, and it's been, I think, received really well. I know it's still
I
very
hope.
early. It's just been a few, not even a few hours. still.
Yeah.
But congratulations.
Thank
very
you.
happy to see this.
Thank you, and
And,
thank you for coming.
And great to be here.
Thank you. Thanks.